We're in tranquil South Wales for the annual extreme Dawn to Dusk Enduro. Over 500 riders from around the world come to test their stamina and skill in Britain's most exhausting off-road event. The Dawn to Dusk is open to riders of all abilities, from complete novice weekend warrior to Paris-Dakar veteran. The Dawn to Dusk is unique in distance and duration. One thing is for sure, to even complete one lap, it's an accomplishment. There's no comfort zone for the riders, and the course is varied in terrain, but eventually evolves as the conditions change. The once tame trails mutate into a tangled gorgon's head of vicious mud. The Dawn to Dusk has been running for 7 years, and each year, like pilgrims to a shrine, dirt bikers converge for a unique blend of two-wheeled exhilaration and brutal physical punishment. This endurance event takes place on an old Welsh slag heap. It was once Europe's largest open-cast mine, but now debris over rock, reclaimed, reforested, overgrown, and yielding a 4,000-acre off-road heaven. Perfect for a dirty stroll with the lady or a ride on a powerful bike. Is it enduro or innuendo?
Yeah, I like playing in the mud.
The first lap is a bit chaotic. There's bikes and bodies everywhere, and sort of trying to find different routes up through some of the steep sections. A lot of rocks, some sand, you've got big drops and pits and water, so it's good, yeah.
Is that man mental? He seems to know exactly what he's letting himself in for. Thrills, spills, and plenty of mud.
Find the biggest river tomorrow and you'll see me in it. I always fall off in rivers.
The Dawn to Dusk is different to the usual enduro event. For starters, it's much longer than most at 15 miles per lap. So, all you have to do is ride as many laps as you can in the 12 hours available. But for a Welsh rarebit, you're going to need a few more ingredients. How about knee-pounding terrain? Bogs, hills, jumps, tree sections, fast sections, and water crossings. And if you like your rarebit socky, you're in luck, because this year it looks like it's going to be a wet one. It's not just tough on the spectators' morale either. It might be fun to make mud pies with your motocross tyres, but 12 hours of weather like this really takes its toll on the rider's stamina.
It is a real trial, and I haven't been in training for this, but if I'd done it again, I'd certainly think about getting more prepared for it and getting fitter for it, you know, if you're trying to do well.
The main thing's to finish at the moment, definitely. And other than that, just see how I get on, really. Make one lap would be good for a start.
It's just something I've always wanted to do. It's on my list of things to do before I die type thing.
But before the adults can take on the 12-hour race, the juniors get to have a go on a reduced course a day earlier. These youngsters could be the champions of tomorrow. So watch out, Grandpa. They're the young generation, and they've got something to say. The Welsh weather is unpredictable at the best of times. But whether the conditions are wet or dry, the Dawn to Dusk course is one of the toughest and longest out there.
Easy peasy.
Each of the 500 riders also brings their families, mechanics, and support crew.
I used to ride these 50 years ago.
Dude, you're 100% a loyal team member. No glory for you, just all the crappy jobs.
Look at me. I was clean this morning.
It's part jolly day out, part utter mayhem. Despite the weather, mind-bendingly intense course, and outrageously long enduro race, the people come here in their droves to share the experience of putting themselves through one of the toughest events in the UK off-road calendar.
We've got people resting here. Can we have some marshals?
I'm Austin Vince, and I'll be your guide to the Dawn to Dusk. I'm a huge fan of this event, but I'm no off-road hardcase, that's for sure. Rather than compress my riding into 12 hours, I tried to spread it out over a year, and instead ride across Siberia, the Wales of Russia. But clearly, my idea of a good time is watching muddy kindred spirits in a soggy Welsh hellhole, and this is an enduro to end all enduros. So, with that in mind, I'm looking forward to digging nooks and finding crannies to see how this puppy tick-tocks on the rocks. Well, we're on our way through the grey, shaly heaven that is the pit area here at the Dawn to Dusk. We're going to find General Plum. He's the man in charge of the entire event, and we're just trying to get a picture from him of what exactly the Dawn to Dusk is. Nick Plum is the man behind the Dawn to Dusk. And what a man. He's been riding and competing in enduros for many years, culminating in riding the infamous Paris-Dakar race 4 times and finishing twice. No mean achievement. Nick also runs the UK arm of the German adventure accessory giant Touratech.
Team Touratech!
But no matter how experienced a rider you are, sometimes riding motorcycles can be a dangerous way to have fun. And whilst testing out the course, Nick broke his own foot.
And that big rock you can see sticking out, the foot peg on my bike just got caught in between the two.
But despite Nick's injury, he's still out there making the event happen. I hooked up with the General to get the lowdown. General Plum, can you tell us what are the kind of obstacles that people are going to face on the course today?
Well, to be honest, I think the first obstacle they've got is trying to get a cup of tea first thing in the morning. Because obviously, I was quite surprised at how early people were starting before me. Everyone's getting themselves ready. And off they go, and I would say for most of them, the adrenaline, the kind of scariness must be that first start. Because it's so many riders having to go off at once, and even though we all stand there and we go, I'm only doing it for fun. You know, I'm just gonna, once everyone goes, I'm gonna tail them behind. But you can't help but feel, as soon as you get in the crowd, you don't want to be at the back because you realise you're gonna get filthy, muddy and dirty. So you do want to be at the front, but if you're at the front and you fall off, you're scared everyone's gonna run over you. So it's all these decisions that people have got to make whilst they're on that start line, the kind of minutes before it starts. Once they go off from the start line, we've obviously got marshals in those key places.
The hot spots.
The hot spots that we're thinking to ourselves, right, this could be a jam. And then they get to probably their first jump, which is a nice jump, but you can't see the top of it. So all you've got is this rise up, and then it kind of peters down a bit. Beautiful jump, and we've got marshals there waiting to catch them in the air in case they go too high. Back ridge. The back ridge where there's so many puddles that just look like the little puddles, but actually underneath those puddles are big old.
So they're more like traps?
They're more like traps, but the lucky thing is, because they're going at speed, they kind of get themselves over those traps. The quarry, I would say, is quite an intense part because not only have you got to get into the quarry, you've got to go around the quarry and then out the quarry. But once you're in the quarry, we've got 2 runs and there's a beautiful jump over a road that goes up right onto the top plateau, which is great. The only downside is someone put a huge rock right at the top, but you can't see this rock.
What Nick fails to mention is that just for starters, the whole course is made up of bogs, water crossings, dense woods to navigate, and vast stretches to open up in and make your teeth rattle on. If that wasn't enough, General Plum has engineered some extreme sections for those courageous enough to opt for a shortcut. But it's a case of rider beware. These tricky moments are just as likely to chew you up and spit you back home to mummy. To keep the riders on the not-so-straight and narrow is General Plum's platoon of race stewards. It takes them a week to create and prepare this fantastic course before race day. During the event, they're spread across the Mammoth Mountain to keep things running safely and smoothly. And if the going gets really tough, which it undoubtedly will, they don't mind lending a helping hand.
I haven't washed for 7 days, and I'm hungry. Cold and wet, but I'm having a good time, so.
Whichever route riders take, a race that goes on for 12 hours at 15 miles per lap, one thing is for sure. Your body and brain are going to be tested to the limits, mentally and physically. Well, it's the night before the Dawn to Dusk. The tent is packed. It's a big deal. Everyone's come a long way, people from all over Europe, and I think the Americas. It's an incredibly difficult event, even if you're sort of not even taking it seriously. For the people who are deadly serious and competitive, it's a nightmare. It's an incredible feat of endurance, 12 hours of non-stop muscular pain. Some of the people are watching the sighting lap now, which is a lap done with a camera on a helmet, and that gives people a chance to find out what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be difficult.
Everybody's apprehensive. Everybody wants to see exactly what's going to happen. No one really knows. And add to that, it's postal worker hours tomorrow morning. Oh, 600. We're going to be out on that start line. Ugh.
12 hours. It's a long time to ride. Long time to ride, and most of the races you do are only 3, 4, 6 hours at the most. You get 9 hours into it. You've never pushed yourself for 9 hours before. What's it going to be like? You're going to be okay? How knackered are you going to be? You get tired, you make mistakes. Those mistakes can be very costly. Bikes are unforgiving. It's the time, the duration. That's the scariest part, it's the duration.
I'm very nervous now. Getting more and more nervous as the day goes on. I'm watching this, but I've done it before and it's been good.
Watch the results. Start at the top and go right to the bottom and then you'll see us. It looks easy, so it's no problem.
Yeah, I did it about 3 years ago, and was knackered at the end of it.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's going to be carnage, it's going to be terrified people, there's going to be knackered people, there's going to be bikes strewn everywhere, and it's absolutely fantastic. This is what it's all about. This is what life is all about. This is the pinnacle of life. Living is all about this.
But have a good time, guys. Thanks very much, and I'll look forward to seeing this tomorrow. Thank you.
Well said, that man. Looks like it's going to be one hell of a race. Coming up, we've got the mayhem that is. 500 riders on the dawn to dusk. Get ready for the thrills and plenty of spills. So turn the hi-fi high and the lights down low and get ready to dig some action, Daddy-O. Welcome back to Dawn to Dusk, the annual 12-hour motocross endurance race down here in Neath, South Wales. It's 5 a.m, and as you'd expect in Wales, it's raining.
I think we've still got an hour. Yeah, well, 58 minutes. 58 minutes it looks like we've got until all systems are go. But the morning's always panicking, always panicking.
Hectic at the beginning, and then we go sleep for a couple of hours.
Whilst the rest of the UK is nicely tucked up in bed, General Nick Plum and his squad of Dayglow marshals prepare for the day's carnage and corral the hordes of dirt riders down onto the starting grid. So, as the sun comes up, all there's time to do is make some last-minute prep to the bikes and a quick bacon sandwich. The hordes are amassing on the start line, tentatively unsure of the course ahead of them. If I were a pirate, I'd say it was the calm before the storm. But I'm not, so I won't.
Sometimes you get, you overtake guys, and once they know you're a girl, they want to push you off.
You're a bit nervous, but you're fine. Looking forward to it. Hope it doesn't rain anymore.
There's Richard Hay. He's favourite for the Marathon Man class. And rightly so, because if he enters, he wins.
The challenge will come after the first 6 hours.
Nervous, ready to go. Happy porridge, so tip top.
When you go back to bed.
Okay, guys, you're going to go under siren, okay? You're going to go under siren.
Nick to Dave. Okay, how are we looking, mate? Are we good to start?
It's a minute of each hour of D-Day, Dawn to Dusk Day. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Everyone's so excited, I can't hardly speak. General Plum is going around in his 4x4 super-duper knick-knack quartery thing, marched like a general marshalling his forces. It's unbelievable to see the excitement here. People walking around, people riding around, engines revving, the air rich with the smell of two-stroke. Ah!
And there they go. It's a Le Mans-style start, staggered between the classes, so in theory there won't be a pile-up on the first corner. So far, so good. And the next batch, right on. Let's dawn to dusk.
Dawn to Dusk is a tested man in us, and there are only two kinds of men at the one jump on the course. Are you the kind of guy that jumps it or goes over it neatly? Let's have a look.
It's going to get a lot tougher from here on in.
Right, that's the anarchy that is the Dawn to Dusk. I'm scared already.
I should be scared because this old man is going to kit up, harden up, and get out there for a lap myself. Let's see just how tough this 15-mile behemoth is. Crikey O'Reilly, it's only the first few 100 meters of the course, and people are falling like flies. Oh, Lordy, spare me a swatting.
Someone said they're callable, but we'll find out now. They'll bring him up and we can have a better look from there.
Off I go into the unknown. Who knows what treats lie in store for me? Maybe white wasn't the best colour for my overalls. I'm tired already. The first few laps are about getting used to the course, settling into the conditions, and finding your own natural rhythm. Then riders start trying out the alleged shortcuts, known to most as the extreme sections. To others, a nightmare waiting to happen. While the majority of the riders have entered the danger zone, those in teams wait in the pits until their co-riders complete a few laps. With so many riders wishing to enter, it's better for them to choose a class. So, although the anarchists amongst you might want to smash the class system, here at the Dawn to Dusk, we need one. Listen carefully. There's the pro rider for prostitutes. The expert class for the really competent riders who regularly win in the clubman class. This isn't to be confused with the clubman class. This is for riders who compete regularly in off-road events just driving 1970s wood-trimmed minis. Then the sportsmen. They're not actually sportsmen, of course, they're driving motorbikes. Then the beginners and the people who ride for fun. Lastly, the over 40s in the veterans. These are people who've actually killed a man in combat.
Very tough, yeah, very hard. One of the hardest I've done this, yeah, really hard. But all good fun.
Here comes the rain. Oh, someone said it was going to be sunshine. It's one thing riding when it's soaking wet out there going through puddle, but there's another when the rain's falling down. It's mainly your goggles and all that kind of stuff. Not that I see many people wearing goggles out there, mind. But they all seem to be still going mad. I've only heard a few that have given up so far, you know. And that's only literally a handful, so I'm pretty pleased with that. It's extremely hard out there already. The thing with this place is because it used to be an old open coal cast mine, the rocks are just hiding underneath. And they're just all waiting to come out. And as soon as you have this kind of rain, it just leaves a nice little layer ready to be ripped straight off. But now the guys are out there just taking that film off and now it's turning into proper slippery rock. They're not Dakar riders here. There's a lot of wannabe Dakar riders or soon-to-be Dakar riders here. This is a great kind of training ground because it's not only, I mean, it's a tough course as it is, but it's also, there's lots of people that can have a chat with and stuff about whether they think they should really be doing a rally like that or not.
As the riders are finishing laps 3 and 4, I'm still on my first. And so far it's been utterly exhausting. Well, that's me almost finishing my first lap. I've ditched the bike right in front of the pits. At least I'm not the only one to come off.
Crikey. So much more tiring than I remember. It'd be easy if I was fit. Oh, what an event. What an event. Well, I would say from the last 5 years, Dawn to Dusk Guy that I've seen, this is easily the best circuit. And by that, I would say it's just the least technical. If you find it difficult, you have to just try and go faster. So that takes care of how difficult it is. But for a normal person who only does like 2 or 3 off-road events a year, you know, like moi, it's absolutely perfect. A couple of difficult bits that are annoying, but they never last more than like 45 seconds, although it seems 45 minutes. And then you're on a straight bit and you can get your breath back and try and overtake someone or something like that. But everybody, you know, I must have been overtaken by about 700 people. I saw number 60, Richard Hay. I pulled over there to let him past, I might add, and yeah, gave him a few tips, sent him on his way. Well, that's my first lap finished. I'm completely knackered. I need medical help, so we're better than to go and see St John's ambulance. Also, I can get a snack and all that sort of stuff. This is my chance to take the helmet off and hopefully let the sweat dry out from inside it. And I'm worried that I'm going to get cold. You know how after exercise you have to keep warm, so I've got my hat. Oh, crikey. Right, let's find out what's happening backstage at the Dawn to Dusk. Dawn to Dusk is a colossal event. There's 700 riders, and what with all of the support people and friends and relatives and sometimes families and children and everything like that, there's easily about 1,300 humans here. They need all sorts of support, water supply, there's about 5 million toilets, restaurants, all that sort of stuff. But of course the main action takes place here, in the pits.
Some teams have mechanics, some do it themselves. But after the toughness of the track, refueling is the only break some of these riders get. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to take out the trash.
Simon, you are like pure Dawn to Dusk. I love it. Oh, lying on the carpet, the chicken and bacon tortellini lying to one side. When you watch the good guys go past you, well, in fact, when I watch everyone go past me, but when you see the good people, the clear thing that they have is complete fluidity. Yeah. There's no sensation of any kind of jerky
It's the flow.
Yeah.
You've got to have the flow. And then what else is to take your brain out in the morning and put it in a cup of water.
One of the hardest things to do on a course of this length is to limit the times you come off. Each time the terrain throws you off, the harder it is to get back on. They say that keeping the throttle on is the only way to keep out of trouble. Let's hear from the riders coming back in what they think of the course.
Yeah, it's been hard work. Very hard. Started off difficult, got progressively more difficult.
We just want to finish.
It started out about 15 miles long, but I would say it's probably about probably a couple of maybe 1-2 miles took out of it. The problem now at the end of the day is what used to be wide open and fairly smooth is very, very choppy. It's like riding over polished rock all the time, and when you've got knobbly tyres you get no grip at all, you know. But a lot of the steep climbs, if they've got people on them, you don't get the opportunity to get a run at it, so it becomes hard work.
Hold up, mate, come on, hold up.
Your energy levels go down, the hills are still just as steep, so it's just a battle, but that's what it's all about, isn't it?
What position you're holding now, Steve?
Oh, about 10 behind you, I think.
It's getting very, very slippy out there and wet. There's a few showers going through, and the rocky bits that were not easy are now wet and harder.
Couldn't really see very much that lap without a mud guard. I've had a face full of dirt the whole way, so time for a quick fix of some sort. Let's start searching the pits.
Looks like there's no escaping the mud. The rain can be a blessing to keep the dust down, but when the course is this wet, it presents its own problems.
It's just an endurance challenge, really. I mean, we just love to come here year on year.
I mean, if you go to most other multi-lap enduros in the UK, you're talking 4 or 5 mile circuit, if that. But here we're 15 miles, and as you know, you go out there, you disappear for an hour, and who knows what happens.
Exactly.
A course this long proves too much for some riders who unfortunately retire due to exhaustion or mechanical failure. But some riders thrive on the challenge and push on through, lap after lap.
Any Attrition? The bike since 7:15 this morning. Off it.
Richard Hay hardly takes a break, only to refuel the bike and himself.
We've got 3 riders out there. We've got Richard Hay doing the Ironman. He's leading. He's away out in his 9th lap now. And I've got my son and his friend Fraser Norrie and Derek Little doing the 2-man pro. And they are also in the lead of their class and about 2.5 minutes behind Richard for the overall. So we're very pleased, very happy at the moment.
So hang on a sec, that means that teams 1 and 2 are both Scottish?
Yeah.
So is Richard Hay a professional works motorcyclist?
No, he's not. He's a privateer, sole privateer. He's been very successful his whole career, right from a youngster. He's been in the ISD multiple times. He's rode in the World Championships, but he's always worked.
So he's a genuine amateur.
Yes,
in that
he is.
He does this as a hobby in spare time.
Yes, he does.
And he's that good.
Yeah. He's the director of
And
his
you know
company.
him?
Very well.
I just want to touch you to start.
So while the fight for overall first place continues between teams 3 and 60, I catch up with the battles the other teams are facing.
Good grief. He markets himself as a jolly soul, but in fact is a vicious, one of the big 5. Good hand. How's the race going for you today, Tiger? Oh, don't worry. Everyone else is scared of you. Go and do a lap with that on, with the helmet on underneath. Safety first. Well done.
Yeah, same, mate. Yeah, it's not too bad. A bit gnarly.
up there, but yeah, same, mate, yeah. Yeah, well, a couple of offs, but nothing too horrendous, like, you know. I've seen a few bad ones, but no, I'm taking it steady, mate, to be honest. It's I've got a long way to go yet.
A bit of a puncture by the looks of things. I thought it was a bit fidgety on the front end about halfway around the last lap, and there's no wind in the front tyre at all, so I'm in trouble unless I can get it fixed in the next 15 minutes or so.
We are coming nearly 1,000 kilometers from Germany to here to have a lot of fun.
We enjoy it very much.
Dawn to Dusk. And we will come the next time again.
The most impressive thing is that anybody around us is so helpful, is so friendly, so kind, so polite. It's unbelievable. It's not so the hard stuff like in Germany, you know, rules, everybody for himself and so on. This is a great family.
Oh, I've had better days. Well, the first session that I went out in, I crashed at the bottom, done a whole lap, nearly through the gate. I think I broke my finger, crashed and went down and trapped my hand underneath the handlebars, so not very good really. Even had to cut my ring off, cut my circulation off the finger, so not too bad, but it's real hard going out there, isn't it, Al? Yeah, so yes.
As the course wears down and routes become rutted and clogged with riders, the marshals try to reroute and keep the carnage to a minimum and the race flowing smoothly.
That's right. What we've done here, obviously, this was the route that they were taking, and this was for everybody to take. And as you can see, when this started, this was just a narrow lane going down there. And I think we're maybe 4 or 5 hours into the race now, maybe 4 hours. And you can see how much of the carnage that is. Just with the rain, it just meant everyone's been using all different trails. So all we've done is we've just kind of cut this little section out here. And as you can see down here, we've just kind of rerouted it and then joining back on the track again. And we kind of have to do that over the 12 hours because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of places that get choppy. And I don't mind the first couple of laps, people having to do it because it's tough. But then once, you know, the kind of 6-hour mark breaks, it's hard enough. We just like to kind of break it and just cut out those really, really hard sections.
The electronic scoring doodah is over here in the Touratech tent, and that's got the very latest up-to-date scores. Let's go and have a look. With the sheer number of riders taking part, the race rankings change constantly. Working out who's the lead is no easy feat. Better to ask the man in charge for an update.
So at the moment we've got leading in first place is number 3 in the Pro 2 riders. They've currently done 10 laps. In second place is number 60, Richard Hay, riding the Marathon Expert. So he's riding on his own, also with 10 laps. And then in third place goes to number 12. They're in the Expert 2 riders. They've done 9 laps, so they're just tailing a little bit behind the 2 leaders. So it's quite split there, to be honest with you. There's a different class in the top 3, which is great.
In order to keep track of who's where and when, Nick has employed the use of a series of transponders. These are like the electronic gizmo that Sean Connery had hidden in his shoe in Goldfinger. Each rider wears one, and as they go through the gate, an electrical noise goes off and a mark is made on the computer tape. Then that changes the numbers and everybody knows who's coming where. It sounds straightforward, but during a changeover, teams must remember to pass their transponder onto their teammate. There's 2 things I particularly love about the Dawn to Dusk. One, the fabulous spectrum of ability, from the humble amateur to a world-class sportsman like Richard Hay. But the other thing is the fact that all of these people are self-taught. They haven't been on courses, they're not part of clubs that show them what to do, they haven't been coached or anything like that, and yet still, every single one of them, in their way, is brilliant. Right, action stations. It's time for an afternoon lap. Obviously, I'm not very competitive, I'm not very fast at all. In fact, I'm barely competent, a bungling amateur.
but we'll just see what's happened. There's a lot of reports coming in that the course has now become a huge quagmire. All the rain that we've had in the last 24 hours is kind of like now seeping out as mud out through the porous slate that we're sitting on here.
I'm off to see what's happening on the course. Join me after the break.
Well, hats off to Richard Hay. Hats off to him and all those like him. In fact, probably hats off to every single person here. I've just done my second lap in like 6 hours. It's almost killed me. Oh no! I'm pathetic. Oh, so many amazing riders out there. I do not know how they do it. Just sheer, enviable blend of amazing skill. Here he comes. Look, catch the man. So that's the Richard Hay pit stop in action. There was a steep hill where some guys went down it incredibly quickly, and I could not believe my eyes. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have said that's been speeded up if it had been filmed or something like that. And it was just so reckless, and they didn't crash. That's what I can't understand. And then a fantastic rider was like behind me, beeping and shouting at me. So I went onto the verge to get out of his way, and then fell over. so I couldn't get the bike back up. So I just looked like an idiot.
Things are heating up and getting more exciting as we're in the final few hours of the dawn to dusk. It'd be easy to make a mistake, and risk of injury is high, but riders are beginning to dig deep and pushing hard to find that competitive edge and snatch a place or two in the closing stages.
He's a youngster, he's a really quick one. So we're hoping to pick up a few places with him. He's only 16, so plenty of energy, you know. I need to go to bed now, that's me done.
Had a flat tyre, so that kind of put a spanner in the works. So my teammate's just done 2 laps on the trot, but he should be back soon and then I'll be off again. The soil's just been brushed off the surface and the rocks are showing and they're just really, really slippery. And they're just, the back's going everywhere, the front's going everywhere. So you can be really gentle on the throttle and brakes. It's good fun, really good track.
We've got a bit of a squeaking throttle because it's taken on a bit of water. What we want is down here, it's on here, mate. So we're just putting a bit of WD on it, just to try and get us through to the end of the race. Don't want it seizing up on us and sticking open on top of one of those climbs, otherwise we'll be doing loop-the-loops. So we've only got another 2 hours, boys.
With only 2 hours left in the race, fatigue is taking its toll and riders are continuing to drop out.
This is Ben from Worcestershire. He's race number 221, but for him, the race is over as a result of this awful injury. Can you tell us what's happened to you here today?
I was on one of the fire roads, coming past someone quite fast, and he moved over, and at the back of him, under the handlebars. Didn't remember much more, just woke up. It's pretty damn hurting.
But it hasn't put you off?
No, no way.
Good grief. Ben from Worcestershire, a real man. In fact, a real man's county. You see, if you were from London, you'd have just like given up. You'd be crying by now. Or something like some soft southern cream cake.
Now we've got a bit of an incident with a suspected broken leg on the far side.
On about the worst part of the course we can get to. We've got to take the four-wheel drive ambulance, and assess it.
Yeah, let me know. We got a call from the radio car, I don't know if you can pick this up just here, that there was an injured rider between this section here. So Paul has gone up there, Milky's gone up there with the four-wheel drive ambulance, but he can't locate that rider.
Well, the bike ended up in the trees. The rider's in the ambulance, hopefully he's okay. The bike works, but the battery's flat. It's a bit bent, but hopefully his crew can sort him out. And he'll be back riding again soon.
Yeah, a bit of tiredness and things. I just clipped one of the metal barriers, which sent me over the handlebars, and one of the lads behind me obviously couldn't swerve, rode on the back of me and pushed my shoulder out, dislocated it the wrong way. So there was a bit of cursing going on, and the marshal's here straight over, drags us off the track, ambulance down, took me off to Morrison Hospital, a bit of diamorphine, pops you back in right as rain, so I'm not allowed back out, unfortunately.
12 hours, 500, over 500 riders. People are going to hurt themselves. People are going to hurt themselves, and I just hope that they kind of walk away not too injured and want to come back next year, hopefully.
I'll be coming back next year, definitely. Really enjoyed it, the whole atmosphere is brilliant fun.
Bike number 3 and their team of 2 have got lap times that are getting quicker, and they're beginning to increase their lead.
Focus, Teresa, focus.
Richard Hay, the marathon superstar, is always just over their shoulder.
Richard Hay's pushing these guys pretty hard. He's one tough cookie. Although they're all very, very friendly, the rivalry is still very strong.
This is true competitive riding at its best. But what makes it all the more amazing is that they're all friends from back home in Aberdeen.
He's come back after that lap with some broken spokes in his rear wheel. And although the bike's still rideable, it's something he's worried about, and he can't do it at its proper pace because of this defect.
This setback for Team 3 could be a chance for Richard Hay to capitalise on their mechanical gremlins and steal the lead. It seems some riders just don't want to slow down. If anything, the adrenaline is kicking back in as the end is in sight.
We're just coming up to the last minutes of the complete 12-hour race, so we just want to try and get the finish completely right. It's all gone swimmingly up until now.
Here comes the overall winner on bike number 3. Derek Little and 16-year-old teen machine Fraser Norrie in the two-man pro class. Privateer Richard Hay came in a close second.
Well done, mate. Bloody hell, you must have tried really hard then.
Undeniably an amazing feat, considering he raced on his own for the full 12 hours.
Rather you than me, guys.
But there's an incredible euphoria here. It's fantastic. And of course the aroma, the perfume and the two-stroke exhaust.
Spot on. Fantastic.
I have a week off now. Cheers, mate.
It was slick is the best way to describe it. Slightly wet, but you know, a good day, an excellent day. It's always an excellent day when you're finished.
It was hardest thing I've done in a long time. It was good though, good.
Oh, look at his hands. Whoa, look at the calluses.
Never coming back here again.
Well done. Well done, 113. How many laps did your team manage? Or you marathon?
No,
13? Between how many of you? Well done. Well done. Are you okay? Yeah, how much are you going to drink tonight? Lots, or are you going to be careful? You're going to drive home tonight? That's pure dawn to dusk. Incredible. Don't worry, there's counselling for people like you. Oh, you look like you've got scurvy or something. You're right. Good. Look at the winning smile. Brilliant. How many laps did you get done?
14.
14. Are you solo marathon? Amazing. Let me shake your hand. If my life depended on it, I couldn't have ridden 14 laps today. If my life was so impressive. Another winner from the dawn to dusk.
All the riders have had to overcome the tough, varied terrain and harsh weather conditions to finish a truly epic day of racing. But wait, as all the weary riders head home for a well-deserved rest, others are already thinking about next year's Dawn to Dusk. The General and his lieutenants are plotting and planning to add a whole new level of endurance to the event. Race for 6, 12 or 24 hours. Imagine, 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's 24 hours of action to look forward to. Bring it on.
Well, that about wraps it up for this year's Dawn to Dusk. We're stuck here in this kind of weird, foresty shale madhouse of extreme motorsport. It's been a weird experience. We're cut off completely from the outside world. We don't really know what's happening. There could have been a coup. Russia could have invaded another small country. But all we've done is spend the entire day talking about Richard Hay. The black hole of extreme motorcycle sport has sucked us in.